From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big deal and a big day here on LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we go over that $3.5 trillion recon that'll pay you upwards of $15,000 on top of an add-on of $25,000 for you from Maxine Waters, $250 billion from Bob Casey, and those MSC checks as well. We'll go over each of those clusters of items that are being proposed to be fit over the finish line. Cluster number one's checks pass, which has hazard pay. Cluster number two's checks pass, which has home repairs. And cluster number three checks passed, which has money for seniors. All that will add up to about $15,000 for viewers of this channel. Then the breaking news here on Mornings LA. I have the latest which is going to unfold. But boy, it is a big one because guess what? Congress is back. They're back in town. I have the latest details of what they're going to be doing in the next 3 weeks. A sanction showdown. Yes, a sanction showdown of Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders heated up last night and heated up today. I have the latest details of what's going on. Meantime, a possible deal with Joe Manchin is in the works. And then two backup plans are also in the works, clean energy versus carbon tax. A student loan debt forgiveness has been announced, but a new one could be coming this week. I have the latest. COLA raises are being raised across the board, but you're going to get two other raises after that. And then we look back on the first 1.5 years of this channel. As LA celebrates its first 1.5 year anniversary, we got a lot of details across the board. It's a big day with so much happening. I'm really excited for you. We'll be cutting over to third stimulus and the big money available across the board because the toast is toasted, the butter is buttering, and the coffee is brewing. And it's a big day starting right now. Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day across the board. As LA looks back on its anniversary this week, we'll be looking at the first 1.5 years of this channel and what 140 million views look like and what's going on going forward. We have a lot of breaking news across the board. As Congress is back, what does this mean for you in the next 3 weeks? We'll be looking at the breaking details this morning as sanction heated up last night. A sanction showdown. This was huge. The latest details on that Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin showdown, with not one but 3 possible deals in the work. We're going to the first one and then the two backup plans. Student loan debt forgiveness heating up. More debt could be forgiven this week. COLA raises and more. Then we'll be turning, of course, to that incredible recon that'll pay viewers on average about $15,000. This is you. This is you. You're going to be getting about $15,000 from this $3.5 trillion recon with an add-on being proposed at $25,000. $250 billion on top of that. And those MSCs will be cutting to each of those clusters of checks across the board. We'll be cutting to cluster number 3, cluster number 2, and we'll start first, of course, with cluster number 1. We'll be cutting over to third stimulus, which has so much across the board. But we're getting a lot of details and a lot of breaking news just as the morning is upon us. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family as we approach our 1.5 year anniversary this weekend. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut right to that $3.5 trillion recon, which passed several weeks ago. It is a 3 cluster of checks recon that pass, and those 3 clusters of checks will pay you, as an LA viewer, about $15,000. Single individuals, married couple, red states, blue states, with children, without children, seniors, young people, all about the same amount of money, about $15,000. Let's go over all these incredible checks and the 3 add-ons that are proposed on top of that, and start with the incredible sums across the board. Remember, the recon pays you about $15,000, and let's go over each of those clusters of checks, starting with the first one, which is hazard pay. They got hazard pay in there, broaden the earned income tax credit, and increase the amount of money for those essential workers each year. They got $4,000 of elder care. This is huge. per year and up to $4,000 for young children. They got college grants for college students, making the Pell Grant tax-free and making money to the university available and also to the student directly. Then they got money in there for home repairs. I think I got your attention on that one. Are you waking up? It's usually the coffee or when I say free home repairs. Free home repairs provided by the federal government if you live in a low-income community. That's in there as well. As soon as this becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get all these sums of money. They got $51,000 of MSCs in there, the child tax credit, CTC broadened the eligibility, increasing the amount of money. This is up to $300 every month, every year for up to 18 years, which is $51,000 a child if that household is low income. Then they got money for bikes, cars, and trucks, all electric, all U.S. auto manufactured, up to 15% for the purchase of a new electric bike, $7,500 for a new electric vehicle, personal use, a little bit more for business use, or if it's a truck. That's the first of 3 clusters of checks that have been passed that pay you from this channel about $15,000. But now let's go to the first add-on that's being proposed of 3 potential add-ons on top of that. And we start with this incredible add-on from the wonderful legislator from here in Los Angeles, Maxine Waters. It's $25,000 of hard, cold cash going to you. For what? The purchase of your first home. Wow. They're going to give up to $25,000 to you to purchase a brand new home, your first home ever. How would this likely work? I think they're going to give you the money during the escrow or give it to the seller during the escrow in your name. Incredible, great details. Let's turn to the second cluster of checks that have been passed, and they have more home repairs and paid leave. It's important to remember that the recon is just life in general. It has nothing to do with COVID. This is just a package for America building back better. They got paid family leave and medical leave. How much is this? A lot. $1,700 a week if you make $80,000 more per year. $800 a week if you make $35,000 a year. $400 a week if you make $15,000 a year. That paid family leave, you have to stay home because your wife is pregnant. Paid medical leave, you have to stay home because your son broke his leg. They got child care program checks in there. Household tax credit checks. Checks for seniors like dental. More about that in the third cluster. Then they got pre-kindergarten, totally free, community college, totally free, and then more home repairs. Here come more home repairs, this time weatherizing your home. Every home, not even just low income. Weatherize your home, definitely needed, especially if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. I always say keep the moderate Democrats out of the House, and wherever possible, keep the moderate Democrats out of the Senate. There you go. That is the second of 3 clusters of checks passed. That'll pay you about $15,000 from this $3.5 trillion recon. Let's go to the second add-on. And the second add-on comes from the wonderful Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, Bob Casey. And this add-on is for my seniors and my people on disability, $250 billion. Wow. What is this generally for? For home health care. Casey sees an issue, and the issue is you have no ability to pay for home health care, so your son and daughter is staying away from work to take care of you, to pay to alleviate the financial harm. So he has a solution that solves 2 problems. Give big money to the cities and counties and states so they can offer you free home health care from a licensed professional, totally free. That way your son and daughter can go back in the workforce and make a living and alleviate labor shortages as well. That is the second add-on. Let's go to the third cluster checks, and boy, we got this wonderfulness. We have another world exclusive in here, courtesy of Bob Casey, and we also have 2 keywords you're going to listen for. Clean energy. They're coming up later in this video several times. First, in this third cluster, checks passed. Free school meals for all checks. Checks for cheaper prescription medication. Checks for farmers. Checks for free internet. Checks for clean energy. There it is. Coming back to that later. Checks for workers like independent contractors. Checks for seniors like dental, vision, and hearing care checks. Wow. And that brings us to a world exclusive. And that world exclusive is also from Bob Casey. Insiders tell this channel that Bob Casey is looking to drop the Medicare eligibility age from 65 to 60. The 61-year-old Democrat is really pushing to get it done. Meantime, clean energy. One of the checks in that cluster called clean energy, in the third cluster, is coming out. Joe Manchin wants that particular check out. The president has reportedly taken that check out. And this is great news because guess where the money goes? to Purple Power Energy. It just reallocates the money. They just reallocate the money to us away from the clean energy programs. Incredible, great news. More about that later. They also have free internet in there. I love the free internet. All you have to do is ask what the username and password is. What is the username and password? The username is sirloin at 8 o'clock. The password is don't forget Javita Light. There we go. And then we have our third add-on. I think you know what that third add-on is. It's sort of familiar. And I have a breaking news story about that one, actually exclusive about that one, coming up right now, plus 3 other wonderful details about it. And of course, that add-on is the MSC, monthly IRS stimulus check. We have 3 incredible great details and a world exclusive today as well. The first great detail is that by removing the money for clean energy, by removing, the program for clean energy, that money is reallocated. And by reallocating that money, it can be used for MSC. That's the first one. Number 2, we have the number 1 senator in the game, Chuck Schumer, who's majority leader of the Senate, who says he's going to be providing you a monthly stimulus check IRS. He said that to Donnie's wife 2 weeks ago, Debbie Applegate 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and then another viewer going into last weekend. Why is this important? And where are we? We're currently in a House subcommittee. A subcommittee of the House means before you get to the House floor. It's below the House floor. We don't have a bill. We have a package. $3.5 trillion, written by Sheila Jackson, the number 2 in the Progressive Party. They can add stuff in there. And they can add any of these 1, 2, 3 add-ons from Maxine Waters, from Bob Casey, or for Chuck Schumer with the MSC. They can add it in there before we have a House bill. Then when we have a House bill, if it's still not in there, they can add it into the House bill before we have a vote. One viewer of this channel reached out to Omar's office yesterday, and Omar's office told the viewer that a monthly stimulus check provision negotiations has now wrapped, completed, finished, and that it will be $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. That's at least what that source says. That number is the same number that I've been covering on this channel for nearly 2 months. The same calculation, $2,000 and $1,000 a month after every 6 months. I asked, when do they look to add this? Because remember, Omar is a House member. And the viewer said they were looking at adding it before the vote on the House side, but after it becomes bill. So maybe it's not in the bill, but before they call for a vote. And that Pelosi, of course, is one of the many people who said many times she's going to add it in there. Great news across the board. Now, let's say the House still doesn't take care of it. We have the 2-day event at the very end that solves everything. It's called the Senate Votorama. Yeah, you may have seen it. It's when Mitch shows up with the bell-bottom jeans and has a really bad fashion sense. It's sort of like every day. It's where Mitch's look doesn't make sense. It's sort of like yesterday and the day before. The Votorama is just sort of disco era meets Scooby-Doo. It's just, it's about as clear as a filibuster. There you go. During the 2-day Votorama, Chuck Schumer introduces changes to whatever was in the House bill or not on the House bill. And those changes are governed by Chuck Schumer. Who is in charge of the Votorama? Chuck Schumer. Who's in charge of the voting of changes? Chuck Schumer. Who proposes the changes? Chuck Schumer. And who determines what is called for a vote for those MSC checks? And who says he's going to give you an MSC check? Chuck Schumer. Who's in charge of the wardrobe during the Votorama? Mitch McConnell. You got to give him something to do. And he'll mess that up also. There you go. That is the second incredible item. Then the third one, of course, is that big message from the chief of staff to the number 1 guy in your recon. The chief of staff, who is the number 1 person in the office of DC for that center, had a very big message for you, me, and the Purple Power. They now have in total, between congressional and senatorial offices, received more contacts of advocacy from the LA Purple Power than the number of signatures in the American petition. Everyone's amazed by the outpouring of touching stories from LA viewers. Now they have a better understanding of how the average Americans are trying to make it through the pandemic because of you. They have heartbreaking stories, and they have the voice of the people across the nation in you, LALATE, because you have become too loud to be ignored. Wow, that is really, really kind. Now let's go to the last sentence of that message, because it's for me, but it's also for you. Please continue your encouragement for the continued advocacy as the professional voice of the people you have become, LALATE, and continue this until it becomes law. Wow. So what are they saying? continue to advocate. Pick up the phone and say why you need it, why this need this money. Pick up the phone and call every single senator, because that advocacy is needed every single day. If you haven't made a phone call this week, make the phone call, because guess what? They're back. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over the incredible details as Congress is back. We'll be going over the sanction showdown as Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders have a meeting today, had a meeting last night. I'll have the latest update. Then that possible deal with Joe Manchin and the 2 backup plans, I'll be covering that as well. The student loan debt forgiveness and what this means for you with a potential another student loan debt forgiveness coming, and the COLA raise, and why there may be potentially 2 other raises right after that. And then we look back on the LALATE anniversary of this channel. This channel approaches 1.5 years of age this weekend for its big anniversary show, and we'll be looking back at what the first 140 million views have shown us and told us about ourselves and a society and a family. We got a lot coming up in the second half of this video, but first, here's a little bit about the community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now as Morning LA continues from Santa Monica, California, live on air. They're back. Congress is back, and I'll be going over what they're going to be doing in the next 3 weeks. The COLA raises are heating up, and also the big anniversary of this channel. We'll be looking at back at the first 140 million views of this channel, but also what it tells us going forward. A sanction showdown heating up today, and it heated up last night. All the latest details, a possible deal with Joe Manchin, and then 2 backup plans, and then that student loan debt forgiveness. We got a lot coming up in the second half of this video. Plus, we'll be going over to the third stimulus, which has so much coming across the board. We'll be cutting back over to the big money that you can get and the latest details on where that money is. It's a big morning's broadcast. We're just getting started with a lot of breaking news today. So subscribe. With 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Coming up next is Morning's Crypto, live on air at 10 a.m. The first Bitcoin ETF futures start trading about an hour ago. What is it going for Bitcoin? What is it doing for Bitcoin? All the latest breaking details live on air at 10 o'clock. Then I'm back with you at 11 a.m. as more noontime LA heats up. We got shows at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, then or after, so subscribe. Like this video and consider becoming a member. Let's turn to the big surprise that made everyone very, very excited. More student loan debt has been forgiven, and more could be forgiven this week as well. What are the details? It started with the president forgiving student loan debt about a month ago for individuals who became disabled after graduation. Then last week, 2 more rounds of student loan debt forgiveness. First, student loan debt forgiven for individuals who went to work in the nonprofit sector for 10 years after graduation. All forgiven. Then, individuals who went to work in the public sector for 10 years after graduation, your debts are now forgiven if you've been doing that for 10 years. If you work for the city, the county, the state, or the federal government for 10 years after graduation, your debts are forgiven. This is you. If you work for sanitation, public schools, the library, and one viewer found it out live during Morning's Countdown. He was in the live chat and he said, But, sir, I've been working for 20 years in the prisons, the federal prisons, since graduation. Do you mean my debts are forgiven? My answer was yes. The viewer found it out live on air. Incredible, inspiring story when it happened. Meantime, let's go to the breaking news as a sanctions showdown is heating up. Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders. Over the weekend, Bernie Sanders published an op-ed in Joe Manchin's home state, which did not look well upon Joe Manchin. He did not like it. So the war of words heated up, and then there was a secret late meeting last night. I first detailed the meeting on Evenings LALATE. We now know the meeting was fruitful, that they came to a pleasant understanding of how to move forward, and that more meetings are set for today. I'll be going over those meetings in a second, but a possible deal is in the works with Joe Manchin that was covered on this channel because it was really not covered anywhere in broadcast media. It was something that was buried in a print media articles exclusive. The deal with Joe Manchin is orchestrated from the White House, and this is the first of several items you're going to see in the next few minutes. This one concerns taking a provision from the recon that has money allocated for certain industries, doesn't concern you, and changing the language so that the Joe Manchin industries in his state could qualify for the money. How does this work? It would be changing some of the language in one of the past recon clusters to make it easier for the coal and natural gas power plants in Joe Manchin's home state of West Virginia to qualify for the billions of dollars that the program has, which could potentially be a big payday for the fossil fuel providers, one of the biggest constituents in Joe Manchin's home state of West Virginia. Wow, this is incredible, great news. I think this is the one that's going to work of any of the plans, but we have two other backup plans that are heating up. The first backup plan is the clean energy. You heard it earlier in this video. The clean energy is in the third cluster, pass. In that clean energy, there's one particular sub-check that Joe Manchin doesn't like. The president's already said, take it out. That frees up a lot of cash. You like it because it goes to the purple power energy. Gets reallocated to funds for items for us. But the carbon tax is the third backup plan. That third backup plan involves a lot of nuance. Carbon tax may make some people squirm, but think their taxes are going to go up. Not necessarily for you, maybe more just for the corporation. There's a lot of ways to write the carbon tax, and this may be a solution in the works. Meantime, yesterday I detailed a lot at the very end of the video about my opinion of the situation of how to get it done, and today I'm going to be putting it right here in the video. What I am looking at right now is that we have really got incredible progress across the board as we look at the sanctions situation. 2 weeks ago, we had the progressives saying, I don't know what the moderate Democrats want and don't want. Now they absolutely clearly know exactly what they want and don't want. And we can solve these items one at a time. First, Chris and Sinema and the prescription medication. That may be solved because we haven't heard about it for over a week. They may have solved that language. It's a language issue. Just change the language. It's done. Number two, there are certain provisions that are in the recon that concern climate that do not sit well with Joe Manchin. Take them out or change the language. And number three, reducing the recon to a smaller number to get it out the door. This is the easiest of the three items. And let's go over all that right now with that reducing of the recon amount. When we started this whole process, originally the president thought he can get long programs. At the time, I was speculating about dates. Now that speculation turned out to be exclusives. Back in July, I said I had a feeling the president was asking for 20-year programs. Speculating. Then we now confirm that that was actually the case. The president wanted 20-year programs at a $7 trillion price tag. A lot to ask, and unfortunately it was too much to ask. And the Democrats said, no, we're not going to do $7 trillion at 20 years. Do something smaller. Bernie said $3.5 trillion. In July, they agreed, recon's procedural, pass a law. And we didn't know the duration of the programs, but again, I speculated. I thought they were 10-year programs. They were. Confirmation, world exclusive. Now, here's what's interesting, is that as soon as they had $3.5 trillion in 10-year programs, there was immediately some resistance from the moderate Democrats on that price tag. Over the next few weeks, the moderate Democrats said, I don't like the price tag. Shorten, get something smaller. How do you get it smaller? Very easy. You just shorten the duration of the programs. And the great news is that for the first time on this channel, we have Paul Pelosi and myself all saying the same thing. Just shorten the duration of the programs, and that shrinks the recon into a lower price point, and we're done. Now, here's my message on mornings. Shrink it enough. Don't shrink it 8 years. Don't shrink it 5 years. Maybe shrink it 4 years. Because don't play games with the situation. When we look back at 2020, as we were celebrating the 1.5-year anniversary of this channel, we were dealing with Nancy versus Donald. Nancy was at 3.5 trillion. Donald was at 1.921. And Nancy wouldn't move off her number 3.5. This time we're dealing with Sanchez, Democrat and Democrat. Get off the number. Don't stop at 2.1 if the other side wants 1.8. Just get to 1.8 and get it done. You can renew these programs at a later time. Meaning, don't stop at 5 years if the other side says it's too big, then go to 4 years and get it done. It's sort of obvious. One of the great things is that you and I have all agreed about the same thing. We need big checks right now going out quickly for this year, next year, and maybe the next year after that, at least. We don't need to focus on 5th year or the 6th year or the 7th year. We need to focus on right now. And that's what Jalapal said as well. Let's go over the incredible quotes from Jalapal, Nancy, and Alex Padilla and others about this as well. Debbie Wasserman Schultz says, this is a moment in time, and the lesson is that the moment cannot escape us. We cannot miss it. Schultz should understand that you need to get it to a price, get it done, and get it out the door. Bernie Sanders a week ago said, we need to hear the opposition what they want. Now you hear what they want, get it to where they want it, and we're done, we're finished. And then we had great quotes from Pelosi that said, the recon will get done because it must get done. Great. Nancy's advocating for this recon. We have Alex Padilla saying, no climate, no deal. True. We need to get the climate done, but don't hold out for all the climate. If you can't get every climate provision, take it out and do it under the 6th recon next year. Nancy says central to the recon is the climate. It is, because the climate is really the battleground. It's very easy to get the recon from 3.5 to 2.1 or 1.9 or 1.8. The problem is the climate language. I'll be going over that in 1 second. And finally, Jalapal with the game-winning quote, of course. She says basically, quick, big checks. That's what she says, quick, big checks. Don't worry about 10 years. Here's the quote. We would rather reduce the number of years of the programs because the universality of the benefits and the immediacy of the benefits are critical. And frankly, that's more important to us than having to wait the entire 10 years. Absolutely. We're happy to see the speaker, Pelosi, said something similar in a press conference. Absolutely. My personal message is the following. You got provisions that you got a recon that we can shrink the duration to get it to low 2 trillion or high 1 trillion, 1.9. Done. Get it done. The prescription medication looks like it could be done or is done already. Done. So what's the holdout? Words about climate, provisions about climate. I understand climate needs to be done. But if you have resistance about certain provisions, get them out and do them under the 6th stimulus package in spring of 2022. The climate is crappy now. It'll be crappy in 3 months from now. That's not the urgency. The urgency is the American people. As the progressives say and I say, the urgency is big, bold checks right now. And don't hold up those checks because you have 3 provisions for climate, for example, in there, and 2 of them are controversial. Get the 2 controversial climate provisions out and leave the last one in there and take care of the rest of the climate provisions in the spring. There you go. That's how you get it done. Now, let's turn to one really exciting detail, which is really quite surprising. I never thought it would land this way. It's COLA. Your COLA benefits are going up 5 to 6%. Well, the COLA benchmark is coming at 5 to 6%, which means your benefits are going up 5 to 6%. But guess what? That's not the only time they're going to go up. They'll go up 2 more times in the next year if stimulus becomes law. Let's go over all the details of the story right now. This is for you if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, or veterans benefits, anyone who receives a benefits check. First, I want to put forced stimulus aside because I know I've been talking a lot about seniors and your checks and Bob Casey. Let's put that aside. Let's just focus on this and fifth stimulus. One of the things I didn't make clear yesterday was that once your benefits go up under this COLA raise, that is lifetime. So you're currently receiving a check in the mail every month, perhaps. That check now you will never see again because once you come into the next few weeks, you're going to see a 5 to 6% raise, and that will be your new check at least lifetime. You're never going to see the current check anymore. Once your benefits go up, they never go down. But here's the surprise, is that this, first of all, is a really great number because when we looked at fifth stimulus back in the July, I said, I think the inflation rate is going to be 5% in December. So you'll get about a 5% lift up. Now you're getting it right now before we even get to fifth stimulus. And that has 2 more lift ups. What's going on? First, this raise is going to take effect. It's a law. Then, under fifth stimulus, they're proposing another second raise for all of you. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Veterans benefits. Then they're going to do a third raise for you. The new benchmark will be inflation in December 2022. Well, inflation is not going to be 0% then. It'll be 1, 2, 3%. COLA could be 0 next year, which would be horrible because then again, you have no lift up. You'd just be the same number for another year. No. We're going to, under fifth stimulus, have this one kicking in now. Then you get a second raise, that one-time lift up under fifth stimulus, and then the new benchmark next December. 3 raises in 1 year if they get fifth stimulus done. It's incredible, great news. They're going to remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. Now you'll be able to have some muddled blue for Canute or KC Royal Blue. Or some stimulus checks in your hand. They're going to remove the asset cap, the income cap dating back to a 1960 law. It's going to go away. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to end. And love is going to win, and you'll be able to do a pair dance at your own wedding. Like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer fear loss of benefits. And there you go. That is fifth stimulus. Now let's turn to third stimulus, which has everyone really excited because guess what? There's a lot of money out there. Boy, one viewer last week got $36,000 from this channel. How much money have you gotten for third stimulus? If you haven't gotten that sum of money, get a pen and paper ready right now because I'm going to show you how to get it. We can go over some rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage assistance, clothing, holiday gifts, holiday meals, appliances. It all starts right now. First, we're going to go over the rent and utilities. What's important to understand is that there's 6 places to reach out to. If one says no, reach out to the next. They have different eligibility. They have different pots of money, and then get ready for those nonprofits. All right, here's the 6 places to reach out for the rent. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, and State House Authority. And the keywords are going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Mortgage utility assistance because of COVID. And these are the amount of money you can get for rent. Look at that. Wow. These are all Purple Hawks members of this channel. $20,000 all the way up to $27,000 for Elizabeth. Wow. And the numbers are going even higher. Mark got $36,000 last week for rent. That adds on top of his $25,000. Utilities. If you have 5 utility companies, get all 5. Boy, Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000. Then SNAP. If you haven't got SNAP, what are you doing? I've gotten so many people on so many viewers of this channel, SNAP, and their numbers are going up average of 25% automatically nationwide starting this month. Congratulations. Viewers are going to about 26,000. So viewers like Mark's brother-in-law are going to $26,000 a year. Meantime, if you haven't gotten combo items, do it. Here are the combo people. Get multiple items. Lorraine, she's at almost 110,000. Mark is now at 90,000. Get those combo items. Let's turn to the nonprofits now. The 6 places have the money for you. Before you reach out to them, open the newsletter, which comes out Monday through Friday. And it has the part in there about the Treasury for the $13 billion. Know what it is before you call them up. They have the money there. But if for some reason you've reached out to all 6 and they say you're not eligible, then reach out to the nonprofits. The nonprofits do the same items under third stimulus, but with different eligibility. And those 5 nonprofits are United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. The next thing that's great about the nonprofits is they do other items that the federal government doesn't do. They do homeless people in the shelters. They do holiday meals for like Salvation Army. They focused on making sure you're not cold during the winter months. So they're doing refrigerators, portable furnaces, portable heaters, broken windows, even blankets. Also, I said about Salvation Army back in September, reach out to them for holiday gifts. Many of the locations have now run out of those holiday gifts, but some now have holiday meals. Here again, the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. Next, the unemployment benefits. Wow. Back from your state? Yes. Due to overpayment of unemployment benefits? Yes. Average payment is $2,000 to $5,000. Reach out to your state for it. And then the refund check from your state, from the federal government, due to taxes you paid on the 2020 unemployment benefits. Average payment is $1,200 to $2,000. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. If you got any sums of money for this channel, post in the last chat. Finally, if you haven't become a member, what are you doing? When we look at this fourth stimulus package, it'll pay viewers on this channel about $15,000. As soon as it becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get each of these sums of money, whether it's the home repairs or the bike or the weatherizer in your home. I see your questions, and that's what I do. When third stimulus became law, I immediately said, I can get you about $15,000. And I have actually a lot more. Average view of this channel has gotten upwards of $40,000 from third stimulus. How? From the LA newsletter. The new LA Late newsletter comes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Delivered by me, written by me, and sent by the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system, which is totally free. It's at news.lalate.com/alerts, and also the description of this video. Under third stimulus, there's a lot of money in there for you to get, and that's why you're seeing viewers getting $80,000, $100,000. What's important to understand is that if you've gotten money before from third stimulus, you can get other rounds of the same money right now. That's the benefit of the way they wrote the program, so you can get multiple rounds. If you haven't gotten $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 from third stimulus, it's your day to get that money. It's still available there, and as soon as fourth stimulus becomes law, we'll get that as well. Let's go then to what we're looking at as we go into the weekend. And you know what the weekend is. Boy, it is the 1.5-year anniversary of this channel. In the last year and a half, this channel has delivered 140 million views. And this weekend will be the 1.5-year anniversary of the channel, which launched on April 25th, 2020. What we've learned over the last year and what we know going forward is what are the topics I want to touch on throughout the week. One of the first things we learned about when this channel launched is that pushing and advocating and moving is not an element of negativity, but an element of positivity. It was early on when this channel launched when people didn't understand why they weren't getting certain sums of money. And I said, pick up the phone and call. Call? Yeah, I said call. And then I would have people say, but I called once and I didn't get the money. They said they don't understand where it is. I said, call again. Really? And then people would say someone on the phone didn't give them a clear answer, or rude, or was not responsive. And this is, as the pandemic was starting and people were not coming to the office. I said, get off the phone and call back. And you can't imagine how many people got approved by just doing things like that. Very, very simple approach is the situation. As we deal with a labor shortage in America now, it's different then than now. It's different now than it was then. It potentially is worse, where you have less people in the office, less people to answer your questions. So if you're looking for a particular thing, whether it's a holiday gift or a raise or a bike, or maybe it is a particular stimulus package, you're trying to find it, you may get a person who may not have a clear answer. And that's what we learned in 2020, in the very first weeks of this channel. If you get someone on the phone and they don't really respond to you, move on and call someone else. Guess who that became? That became one of the earliest characters of the channel, Blaine666. Blaine666 was the embodiment of a person who you hear on the other side of the phone that sort of sounds like the devil. That's why he is called Blaine666. He just wanted to sort of not help you about anything. And yet he was at the escalation department. He was like your mini supervisor and still couldn't really answer a question. Not a reason for you to close up shop, not a reason for you to stop pushing. And Blaine666, people immediately found humor in it, but also found reality because it showed them that, yeah, sometimes when you try to find something, it's not where you think it is. And if someone like a Blaine666 answers the phone, just hang up and call right back. I think that message is still much the case today as we go into the 1.5-year anniversary. All throughout the day, we have a lot of shows and a lot of great shows. We're back next with the 10 a.m. live mornings crypto as the first futures traded crypto debuted today. SEC allowed it to go ahead. What does it mean for you? All the latest details. I'm back at 11 a.m. with a brand new noontime LALATE. It'll look back also on the first 1.5 years with another perspective of what's happening. Then we have a brand new then we have a 1 o'clock afternoons LALATE and a 3 o'clock afternoons LALATE show, brand new. And an evening's LALATE at 5. The news cycle is changing very quickly again. So now we have shows that are quite different on evenings than afternoons. So you need to watch both shows. And I'm really excited for you because now we have 16 hours of programming per day on this channel. We have shows at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11:30, 3 a.m., 3:30, and 4 a.m. till I come back with you early mornings, LA, each day. So with that, I want you part of this incredible family, and also hit that subscribe button. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. The toast is toasting. The butter is buttering. This was one of the original shows this channel when it first launched, and that expression was as well. Stay informed, stay focused, and I'll see you next on Mornings Crypto, starting